Many people think that with dementia, because there is memory loss, then thinking capacity and understanding capacity is lost as well. But that's not the case. Just because people can't remember, it doesn't mean they don't understand. So people coming into dementia facilities who have a poor memory, but they can think and they can understand, have to work hard to work on having the courage and the confidence to rise above the stigma and the prejudice of coming into a dementia facility. But I have seen some men and women do this remarkably. Keep that confidence, keep that courage, hold their head up high, come in and not let it affect them. They just go about business as usual. The women often setting up their library, their knitting, their crosswords and their quizzes. That settles them. And the men go about introducing themselves to each other and becoming social and vital in the community. But for most people coming into dementia facilities, most people, it's a knock in the confidence. It's a knock. Confidence does get knocked, and it can be quite difficult to regain. If it gets knocked too hard, then of course depression can happen and or escalation into anxiety. But it's a very different for everyone, of course. But confidence building does help on all accounts as much as possible, because if the confidence gets knocked too much, then the person withdraws so much, it can become really difficult to get them out of their shell and start to communicate. And it's vital that they do keep communicating, because if they don't, the skills of communication can go quite quickly. It only takes a month or even less. It only takes about 3 weeks of not speaking and not communicating to see the decline and experience the decline. So as much as possible, we've got to keep that communication, cognition and confidence going with the dementia resident from the onset of entry into the unit. For them, otherwise the habit of withdrawing, shutting off and closing down can become, quite fixed and habitual, and it can then become quite difficult to get the person out of their shell again. In terms of confidence, back to that theme, the woman that I witnessed who came into the unit confidently, incredibly, she had quite a number of methods that she used for keeping that confidence and not letting the stigma and prejudice of dementia get to her. First of all, she announced clearly and loudly when she arrived, "I haven't got dementia," and considered that she didn't. The second thing, she started to get a library around her magazines, her quizzes, her crosswords. She got her daughter to bring in as much as of every kind of magazine that she could. So in her room, she had piles and piles of, very half-filled crosswords and favourite magazines and books, etc. So she read ferociously, and that was how she kept her cognition going. She rose above it because she kept her thinking on track and active. So she didn't let herself get dragged back to dementia stress. She was always reading at the dinner table, when she was talking to someone, in the activities. She was actually quite good at being able to talk and read pretty much at the same time, because she loved reading anyway. She'd been a school teacher, so she loved reading. But additional to that, she knew that she needed to keep that reading going to be able to keep her thinking and cognition active. So she did very well at keeping her confidence up. And she actually, as she said, "I'm never going to let anything beat me. I never let anything beat me." She was half blind, she was half deaf, her walking was poor, but still, she rose above the lot. I don't know how she managed to read, but she did somehow, amazingly. And she never lost her spirits. She never got down. She was always upbeat. So because of that, her confidence inspired confidence in others. That's the big thing as well. You know, confidence can be learned. It's an osmotic process. If you see other people being confident around you, you know, your friends and colleagues in the dementia unit, both at the activities and at your dining table, communicating confidently, being friendly, speaking up, speaking out, then all of that, of course, it will reach you, and you will start to think, well, okay, if they can do it, especially the quiet ones, when you start to see them coming out of their shell and making an effort, then you start to feel, well, maybe I should as well. And with a little bit of encouragement, both from the dementia residents and the staff, you can come out and be confident. And that just helps the whole, you know, environment. It helps everybody in the end. Another example of a woman who was very confident, she had a big family, about 8 children, and they visited regularly. She came to the activities as well, and she really enjoyed that. But she used to say, again, I haven't got a memory problem. What's wrong with my memory? And she also used to say, confidence, I don't need confidence. I'm perfectly confident. I can communicate perfectly well with all my friends and family. Not a problem. She became quite assertive and almost mildly arrogant with it, which was a little bit of a shame because everyone else was trying their best to sort of speak their first sentence. And here she was, you know, announcing to everyone of her capable skills. But she was generous and she was friendly. And it was because her family helped her a lot. They were so generous. She had so much input of communication all day long because she always had visitors. So that really kept her cognition going. She just didn't sit. She was never still sitting idly. She always had someone there. And this active communication kept her cognition going. Her husband, he was an amazing guy. And they even used to go to music festivals while she was in the dementia unit. It's practically unheard of to even go out for the night. But he'd take her away for the weekend in the camper van to music festivals. I don't know how he did it, but he managed it. And on one occasion, they went for a full-length week's tour of the South Island in the camper van. Remarkable. So it can be done when there's that commitment and, you know, to a partner. And obviously they'd had a good life together, been to music festivals together, travelled the South Island together, and they didn't let that stop. But I think the reason why she came into the dementia unit in the first place was a lack of direction orientation. That's often the case, losing one's way. So if there's not a secure facility, then you just need to walk out the door, you lose your way, and, you know, that's it. So in these retirement villages where she was living, certainly, and her husband, and other places similarly, the layout was very open plan. You don't have locked gates or fences to keep people in. So people with dementia can't live there and walk around on their own because they'll just lose their way. So that's why she was in the facility. So confidence, it varies with everyone, but the more support, firstly, the more support someone has, the more confident they're likely to be. And also if the person has always been confident, lifelong, confident in their intellectual ability, confident in their work life as a teacher or in the army or whatever career, confident with raising a family, if they've had that inner confidence, that really goes a long way to being able to manage oneself and being able to manage to keep that confidence even with memory loss within a dementia facility. So I've written these 2 books on these topics, The Resident's Voice and The Resident's Rise, both from a dementia unit, on Amazon and my website. Just to let you know that my background is physiotherapy, career, you know, lifelong, and 8 years as a diversional therapist working purely with dementia. So that's what these 2 books are about, everything about the resident's experiences in the main dementia resident's experience and how you can practically help these people. So thank you for your looks and your likes, and please pass on the links. Thanks.